All right, we're back. It was a cool week off, but we're back. Welcome to another episode of Everything is Everything. This is going to be episode, 14, right?
Yes, sir.
Episode 14. I'm your host, Stefan.
It's
Here,
your
my boy.
Jiggy.
And thank y'all. We want to give like a really special thank you. I'm going to look into the camera and say thank you guys so much. We've reached a milestone of 100 or more subscribers. That was a goal that we set out when we first started recording back in August.
Yeah.
And we want to see if we can reach 100 subscribers by December. And you guys are great. Thank you for everybody who's watched. Thank you for everybody who's left a like. Thank you for everybody who's shared a video. Thank you for everybody who's following on Instagram, TikTok, anybody who's left a comment on a short. I mean, we're really setting out to try to create a community.
Yep.
So, I mean, from the bottom of our hearts, I mean, I know a lot of people might think, like, by YouTube standards, 100 subscribers isn't much, but let me tell y'all something. If there was 100 people in this room right now, it'll be packed, right? We'd be looking at y'all like, man, it's a lot of people in here, and we appreciate each and every one of you guys. Please, like, leave comments. Like, let us know if there's topics you guys want us to discuss, and we want to have dialogue with all those who are supporting and following and keeping us engaged and engaging with the content, because we really set out to do something positive. So with that being said, we had a little week off last week. Happy Thanksgiving to anybody out there who celebrates. Happy holidays. You know, we're in December now, and there was a lot that happened between our little week off and here we are now. I think I want to open this podcast by first addressing a few things that happened. I'm not going to play any long clips right now. Some of you may have heard one of them, which is Juelz Santana saying that it's more important for kids to learn math and financial literacy than it is for kids to learn how to read. Also in the week, Ordell Beckham Jr. made a claim that it's hard to make $100 million contract over 5 years playing professional sports, or in his case, in the NFL. It's hard to make that last a lifetime. Once again, a little bit, right? We also had Pharrell, who we'll get to at a later time, make some comments about DEI. We'll get to that at a later time. And we even have the Diddy documentary that was produced by 50 Cent come out. So we're going to be tackling those topics today. So thank you for everybody tuning in. And I just want to address the first issue at hand, which was a big one for me, because I feel like the Ordell Beckham comments, the Juelz Santana comments, and we spoke about the Sebastian Telfair situation on a few episodes ago, which he's still releasing episodes. All these three things are intertwined in a web that has a very common focal point, right? Education, information, reading.
Financial literacy.
Financial literacy.
Yeah.
Bro, you know what's funny about financial literacy? Since the pandemic, financial literacy has become like a buzz phrase. Everybody wants financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to, know what they're doing with their money. I mean, we had a ton of money during the pandemic be pumped out for free, right? You saw this rise in the financial literacy world from podcasters like Earn Your Leisure. You have the Wall Street Trapper. You have, I think the young gym was like Aristotle. There's a million and one. There's Forex traders, stock traders, all types of people, all in that financial content realm, right? Everyone's trying to, especially now, bro, it's getting to a point now they're making fake podcasts. Like, I don't know if you've seen the trend. It ain't no conversation happening. It's just one mic and people just reading from like whatever dialogue they have written up, right?
Yeah.
All that pushing this financial literacy part, right? How do you get to the financial part if you don't have the literacy part? Serious question. How do you get to the financial part if you don't have the literacy part, right? Really made me sit back and think, man, I remember when we were in school, we had this assignment called current events. We usually did it once a week, where I mean, I was doing current events up and even to high school, maybe like my sophomore year. But even in elementary school, you would go get a newspaper. Gen Z, newspapers used to be really prominent. You could still get them at gas stations. They're like 10 cents.
Yeah.
You know, it could be the Sun Sentinel, the Miami Herald. Get a newspaper, pick an article. You have to cut out the article and attach it to your paper, which you hand wrote 5 paragraphs on said article that you read, right? And in that, it taught you a lot. Like, I look back now as an adult, and I'm like, you know what? That really showed me how to find information, read information, and like digest the information, and not just to read a headline and react.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, now we're living in society where a lot of people are just reading headlines and reacting. A lot of y'all don't want to actually read the content. You want to be told the content. You don't want to engage with learning. You want to be told what to think.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, right? Being told what to think and things of that nature. So you brought up an interesting, conversation that, of course, we should definitely get into is the Juelz Santana topic, right?
Right.
And, basically what, like he was saying, why do we need to read when we really need financial literacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's one part of there's a lot in that statement that is false, but there's also a line in that statement that actually is a reality that we live in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the false statements is that we don't need it to be able to read and to comprehend what we're reading, right? That's how
Right.
people get tricked out of contracts.
Exactly.
First things first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's false, right? But the thin line in Juelz Santana saying that is that reality is we're living in that world, right? Where we are more less dependent on the trades and the skills that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and we more are it's just focused on the simple things, right?
Right.
So for instance, before people were more capable of building houses and had the trades to do, or the skill. It was like a natural thing. You want to live somewhere, or you got to build it, right?
Mm-hmm.
As time progressed, we're like, no, somebody has to build a house.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Somebody has to do it. I'm not learning that. I'm
Right.
going to go ahead and do this.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Then line about it, once those capabilities get taken away and we become dependent on it, we're not even looking to even do that no more, right?
Right.
So the way his thought process is, which is the way the world is going, right? People not thinking no more, hey, let's go ahead and make some good music. Let's go ahead and make music that it can actually, let's go ahead and make music that can actually, we can actually sell records and make money off of. People are not generally taking their time to go ahead and appreciate or to develop the skill within what is needed for whatever art or whatever you're doing, or financial literacy, right?
Okay.
And he's a pure example of what how the youth looks at everything that has to come before them. The youth kind of we have YNs, right? They kind of look at things in a perspective of, fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm not listening to these old niggas. These old niggas is old. They don't know what they talking about, or whatever the case is. And why the fuck am I gonna need to know how to read books when I need to really know how to do financial literacy? You get what I'm saying? I need to get this money. That's how the people think. That's where the world is going. They even talking about AIs right now, right? Replacing humans in different and working and different aspects in this world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thought process is that we'll rely on the AI.
Right.
And we wouldn't have to do certain things.
Right. Right. Okay, I understand the thought process of relying on AI to a degree. You made a good point about the younger generation maybe not taking heed to the older generation and thinking that they don't need to learn how to read. They need financial literacy. What I would tell any young person out there that's probably listening, or if you're an older person that's going to show a young person something, having money is not the same thing as having financial literacy. Give you an example. My trading mentor in the stock market told me a bunch of times, it doesn't matter how much money is in your account. It matters both the knowledge that's in your brain. Because you can have $1 million in your trading account and lose it all, the same way you can have $100 in your trading account and lose it all if you don't have the mental fortitude to trade and understand the technical analysis, the discipline emotionally that comes behind it, the trader psychology, and even being aware of what's happening in the stock market world and being caught up in business news, right? that's one part of it, right? Understand that reading is like the foundation. Like it is the groundwork that leads to critical thinking, right? It's not to say that certain people who throughout time who might have been illiterate haven't overcome and became great things. If I'm not mistaken, you guys can fact check me out there. I think the colonel who started KFC might have been illiterate. I think I remember reading that a long time ago. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I know there's other prominent people who haven't had the best reading skills that have overcome that. But understand that's a hurdle. That's like a really tall task. And a lot of those people just have like another talent that supersedes that. But for the average person who doesn't have like an insane talent to make like Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're not a music artist, or maybe you're not a painter, or maybe you're not a freak athlete. Reading is the foundation of how you cultivate your mind. I'm a huge Malcolm X fan. Malcolm X, even back in the 60s, was talking about how a husband or wife could bond even more. Is instead of spending so much time in front of the TV, reading books together, doing something to engage your mind. Reading, remember Reading Rainbow? Take a book, it's the Reading Rainbow. I butchered the song. I'm not the best singer, but
I don't remember that.
Yeah. Kids, go look at the Reading Rainbow on YouTube, man. I'm telling you that I can do anything.
I've never seen it.
Hey, don't let my bad singing deter you from a very serious matter, though, right? Mm-hmm. It sparks the imagination.
Right.
Not every book has to be something serious.
Yeah.
I love reading manga. Even books with pictures can be great literature.
So you tell me, what are you explaining to the kids about that type of situation? Like, so you tell them, okay, you need to read, you need to open up your creativity, right? I agree, mm-hmm. right? I feel like reading books open up your creativity mentally. It helps you, it disciplines your minds. It helps you understand things in a empathetic way, right? So I think it does all of those things. But you're trying to tell me that you're trying to tell a kid that has to read a book, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, I can read the AI, I can read the whole book to me, and I can just sit there and just read it to me. Or you have it, just, read it out loud. Why am I going to sit there and actually read the actual book? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, how do you explain that to a kid when the objective is to read the book, right? Of course, we hope it can open up their creativity, right? Mm-hmm. And they can get more from it. But the objective is to read the book. And if they can sit there, right? This is because I feel like what Juelz Santana said mm-hmm. is, of course, we don't agree. But mm-hmm. why is he saying this?
I think,
and it's basically being more real. I think it's more reality, right? Which we don't want to accept.
No, it's a sad reality, but
you get what I'm saying?
No,
it's a reality that we're living in right now, where, mm-hmm. bro, somebody can. Why financial literacy? Yeah, I may need to know that a little bit more. This is what he's thinking. This is what I don't agree
mm-hmm.
with.
Right.
I need to read a book. They can tell me everything about the book.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No, fair enough. Great point, and I'm glad because it helped me lead to my point. Right? Why should you read that yourself? For any young people out there, I want you to understand something. That AI program is a large language model, and let me tell you something. That only knows what the computer designers and programmers and techie people put in. It's not sentient. It doesn't have its own thoughts. It's a program. A very advanced and smart program, but it only knows what a human puts in. Now, check this out. The reason I'm going to tell you to learn to read and to be engaged with reading and to develop your own critical thinking is that you don't be no dummy. Don't grow up to be no dummy. Don't grow up to be the person that I can tell anything to. That I can type it into this robot, and if it talks like this and spits it back out, or if it puts on the sexy Siri voice or whatever AI program it is, that I can literally control you because you're either too lazy, unwilling, or incapable of going to research and digest it yourself to say, hey, that's wrong. I've seen AI get things wrong because it doesn't have the program in it.
So what is the big difference between the books and the AI when the book can be controlled information just like AI?
The book also is a man-made thing. Obviously, someone had to have wrote it, typed it, or anything else like that. But it's not so much the source. It's not so much like, hey, I got this from AI versus I got this from the book, so the book is better than AI. It's more so, okay, AI might give you a quick cliff note of something versus go read the actual details. That was my point, even bringing up the current events that we did in school. Don't react off the headline. Go read what's in the article. Because far too many people react off this much information and form opinions that's massively big or too passionate based off the smallest amount of information. It's the ability to say, I heard the information that I got from AI and I understand how to process and use it versus AI just told me something and it's just in my brain, but I don't actually understand how to function with it.
So you're telling me that everybody's under the same learning capabilities as far as them being able, as far as the learning capabilities, as far as them if they hear a book or if they read a book and if they listen to AI. Everybody has different learning habits and capabilities, right?
It definitely
so
does.
If somebody may listen to AI, they may learn that way differently, right? That may be an advantage for some people compared to reading a book. You don't think so?
Well, the argument then wouldn't be so much about the learning capability is AI teaching them anything? Because I think being taught something is different than, like you said, learning.
So the book is teaching them.
No, the book on, like I said, the book on itself is still just a book. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A person still has to understand and digest what they actually read.
Mm-hmm.
The idea with Juelz Santana and him saying that someone does not need to read, like he even made an argument that math is more important. Like math is important. It's not the most utilized thing in your day-to-day basis, right? We're going to pivot off this topic very soon because this is going to lead into our next point about Ordell Beckham Jr., right?
Then go into it, bro. Then do your thing.
Understanding how to process information. Like I said, reading is just that's the floor. Like that's the basic part of it. Understanding what you read is the other part of it. But if you're not even getting the floor level, right? I remember in high school I learned that writing something down is like reading something 11 times. If everything is just told to you through a computer, at what point is the human brain actually processing and learning how to use said information?
So, okay, go ahead.
And at what point is AI teaching or is AI telling?
Okay, that's a great point. But let me ask you this, bro. You don't think that's kind of like the same thing in effect where somebody may think learning how to build a house is the floor, right? You don't think we've come to the point where there's things that we feel that are fundamentals or things that we should know or things that we should rely on? It comes to an age where those things, where we don't even think of it like that anymore. Right, so let's just take a different perspective on this. What Juelz Santana is saying, right? There's things that are natural that we should have as natural. You can't tell me we shouldn't be able to build out or go hunt our own food. You shouldn't tell me that we shouldn't have the abilities to hunt our own food, build our own house, because we need somewhere to live and we need somewhere to eat. But those things we rely on other people for, right? And we're at an age where it's like we don't even think about those things. But when we question when somebody says, "Oh, we don't need to not read anymore. We need to worry about financial literacy." At what point do we? Of course, I don't agree with it, but at what point do we look at the fact of where we're at and understand the reality that we're in? That's my point.
Well, that's a good point. All right, so let me address that point. At what point do we look? Technology exists to make human life easier, right?
Okay.
At some point, making life too easy becomes counterproductive. Right? If you're raising a child, you don't want your child to starve to death.
Right.
You're going to feed their child, right?
Yeah.
But in raising your child, you're eventually teaching your child how to feed themselves once they reach a certain age, right?
Right.
Same thing in a broader point about looking at society and where we are now, where, okay, you're right. We no longer need to be hunters and gatherers, right? Like on a day-to-day basis, we're not. I mean, if I walk outside right now, I'm not going to see an elk. You know what I'm saying? Where we're at, right. I'm not going to see a hare. I'm not going to see no type of quote unquote game to hunt with, right?
Right.
Maybe we can fish, but for the most part, there's infrastructures that do all that for us. When we walk into a store and we buy said things and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is there still is a basic like backbone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reading is one of those basic backbones in educations, in that backbone where that shouldn't be a non-negotiable, because next thing you know, people aren't even going to, because if you really took it to the extreme where it's like, because like I said, you can't get to literacy without the reading.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be illiterate.
Can't get to the food without hunting.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, that's just like the bare minimum. And once as a society we're losing the bare minimum, we're in trouble.
Haven't
like if the bare minimum, I'm not gonna say we're there already, because I still feel like there's things in place where I think most kids are learning how to read. There are, unfortunately, like I can tell real life examples of young children ages like 7, 8 who are struggling how to read, and sometimes that breeds even more insecurity. And if I go on this topic, we'll go on a whole nother.
AI is coming, bro. This is what the point of it. AI is coming.
No,
the future is. If you don't think the future is here, it's here, and it's gonna change in front of our eyes.
But that's what I'm saying. I want to make sure we're not I'm not saying the future isn't here. What I'm saying is, we're still going to need to understand how to use that futuristic technology and not let that futuristic technology use us. That's what I'm saying.
That's the battle we're still facing.
You're still going to need the literal skills to know how to use said technology. Otherwise, you'll just be a dummy with an iPhone that can talk to you.
That's our battle today, bro.
And it's a battle we have to win.
That's the battle we have today.
So in our next battle, right, Ordell Beckham Jr. says he explains to people who haven't played professional sports and been in that situation that, they don't know what it's like, that $100 million, it's right. Like when a player signs $100 million, it's not all for that player. There's agent fees, there's state taxes, there's of course your lifestyle and everything like that in between, right? It was just funny that like he said like that's hard to manage or hard to make last for a lifetime. ADP numbers came out this week. These are private sector payrolls. There was 120,000 jobs. 120,000 jobs lost in November, according to the ADP employment report, from small businesses. Right. It's a problem with celebrities. They have a hard time reading the room. They have a really hard time reading the room. They're really detached from what majority of people are going through. Right?
That's an interesting point.
Really,
we need to bring that up again later. Okay.
We're gonna bring it up again.
Okay.
We're gonna. This is gonna be a running theme.
Yeah, that should be the name of this. Okay.
Most people, if they make an extra $150 a week, or if they could save an extra $150 a week, their life changes. If you're having problems dictating how to utilize $60 million, that goes back into the financial literacy part. You don't have it.
All right.
So you lack the knowledge, which is okay, because it's not like they teach that in school to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Your whole life, if you're going to be a professional athlete, you're not worried about the finances. You're worried how to be good enough to get paid, right?
Yeah.
So my thing with Ordell Beckham Jr. is, right, the biggest problem that y'all have with the finance part and why it's probably hard to really manage $60 million over a long stretch of time is because y'all live in vanity. Because you're programmed in your mind to think that I have this excess amount of money that most humans in the world will never see in a lifetime. You don't even want to talk about other third world countries that like probably don't see 10 grand for their life. You want to buy the cars, you want to have the, you want to pay for the escorts, you want to buy the chains, you got to have this type of house, not just in one city, you got to have it in Miami, LA, Atlanta, penthouse in New York. You do all that, you're for sure going to run out pretty quick 5 years at that rate go by pretty quick. I mean, we've seen it with other athletes like Anna Iverson, who's bounced back. We've talked about Sebastian Telfair before, who's unfortunately back in the projects, right? And a part of me, the joking part of me was like, this is probably why he was twerking in that car when Family Matters dropped, because he gonna need Drake. He gonna need Drake to look out for him if he's having this problem like in real life. Like he gonna need, it's like, yo, you remember that ad I did for you? You know what I'm saying? Drive, all that extra stuff I did in the car. I'm gonna need you to spot me this one time. That might be good ad dollars, but we're at a point where it's like, you know, the gap between the have and the have-nots is widening at a ridiculously fast pace. If you watch CNBC, they're talking about how this economy is like in a tug of war and it's kind of stuck in the middle because when I say the poor, it's like the middle class is losing money fast, but the upper class is gaining money fast, and there's this tug of war that's meeting right in the middle, and the economy is like, we don't know which way this thing's gonna shake. Is small businesses the back of the economy still, or is AI gonna be so productive where you can fire all these people and still get all this revenue from these massive companies that it kind of pulls the economy by the neck regardless?
Right.
So back to the literacy part, y'all got to stop living in vanity. I loved that when I watched that wide receiver show on Netflix, Justin Jefferson got a nice crib. His parents live in his crib with him. They ain't got too many cars. There's probably like 3 cars in the garage. He chilling. You know, he's probably gonna have more money to do. Like, he got a lot of ice. Justin got some fly chains. I appreciate good flashy jewelry. But it's like, learn to balance.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting about this topic is Ordell Beckham is right about one thing. People who don't know exactly what it feels like to have that money and then to lose it in that span, or to try to even extend it past a certain, point, right? So, you know what? I agree. He's right about that. As far as him saying it became a problem, I definitely understand him individually dealing with maybe friends and trying to, put on that, so for instance, you spend your money to look a certain way. That helps your the way people look at you, your marketing, your branding, and that helps in certain aspects.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the way people look at him is because of what he built.
Right.
The money that he spent on that, the way that people look at him, right?
Right.
I truly understand maybe in his situation, it may be hard to maintain that type of reality or that type of, maybe it's a facade. You know what I'm saying? And trying to maintain it. You know what I'm saying? I necessarily, you know what I mean? It becomes very hard, and I think everybody should really look at themselves in the mirror. It becomes very hard to talk about something that you haven't experienced, right? You do not know, and I'm telling everybody this, you do not know the temptation, and you do not know what you would eventually do if you had that type of money, because a lot of people do not know who they truly are. Right?
That's a good point.
People truly think, and that's the thing about it, think, but do not know what they would do if they got that sort of money. So you see one person, like you said, he has money, he has his parents, you said he has a flashy jewelry, but it looks like he's maintaining a little bit more financially responsible in that situation.
Right. He's grounded.
Right. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? And it takes a lot to get there. You get what I'm saying? But you don't know what this dude is dealing with. You don't know how ungrounded or grounded he is. And you don't know how much money it would take for him to get grounded. His response, if you heard, there was an interview, he had his response sounded so grounded. Did you guys ever realize how much money it took for him to get to that point? You get what I'm saying? So in reality, all I want to say is that, everybody's reality is different.
Right.
We do not understand his situation. Do I agree? No, we don't know. We do not know what's going on with that man with that certain amount of money. And we don't know what you would do if you had that certain amount of money. That's just my point of it. I don't look at it bad. I don't look at it good. But his explanation, when he was saying it, it's very interesting. It brings a lot to the table and a lot of things we want to understand.
Man, it's true because like I said, everyone comes from a different background, and it's not to say that like, okay, well, if you had this money, I would know what to do with it. But a lot of people could probably tell you what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, probably shouldn't spend in excess. And I like that point you brought up. You don't know who you are. That money can change a lot of people. That money can bring out a lot of even negative traits in a person that they probably, when they were, I don't want to say like poor, like broke or anything like that, but even when he just had like a modest amount of money, that trait was like held at bay. Like, if you have a problem with like women and like constantly chasing women, if you get a boatload of money, you're gonna probably find yourself in a problem because now you can fund your bad habits, right? I think this we got to start having these broader conversations and seeing, like a string of celebrities kind of taught their way into letting us know, like, oh yeah, these people really don't have like a clue like what's really happening outside as far as it pertains to either the political climate, the financial climate of people, the fight to get, like you said, the future's here to get people, young people especially, back interested in taking like their education seriously. And we had this on the topic board, and it's not necessarily a topic we have to talk about today, but like what it means to be educated. It's not just about like, going to high school, getting a high school diploma, going to college, getting that degree, because we've spoken about that before too, where even college kids are having trouble finding jobs after graduating. Like the degrees that were once heralded when we were younger, like having a bachelor's was like used to be all you needed, not no more. Got to go back and get your master's, got to go back and get your doctorates, and everything costs money. And who's to say if in the next even 4 years, the value of a doctorate degree doesn't drop more because of whatever technological advances or whatever programs they cut, or there's no true certainty in things anymore. But what I can say is that you can always rely on your mind. You should sharpen your mind. And being educated is a lot more feasible than people think, because a lot of this is free. You know what I'm saying? You can go to a website, find good information, learn something, and by just reading even 15 minutes a day, you can learn something. You can go to investing.com, CNBC.com. You can read a Bloomberg's article. You can go to your local library, read a book. There's so many places where you can go to get this information. Before you know it, once you're well read, you're also probably going to have a higher chance of being like this more quote unquote educated. You may not have a diploma, but you'll be surprised the knowledge you can find in these sources that are free that you can apply to your life, and it can probably change your whole trajectory. You had brought up a good topic pre-pod, pre-recording about a ruling that was the Supreme Court had a ruling.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this up and just read this about the Supreme Court. I think it's very very intriguing. You know what I mean? But I definitely want to have a conversation about it just to see, because it affects all of us, right? So let me just read this verbatim, based off of what happened here recently. So give me 1 second here.
No problem, man. Do your thing.
So basically, let me see this here. All right, so key developments include the 2023 ruling against affirmative action in college admission, which has since led to increased scrutiny of corporate DEI programs. A more recent 2025 decision allowed the National Institute of Health to terminate DEI-related grants, citing jurisdictional issues with lower courts regarding funding and restoration. The court is also hearing cases like Ames versus Ohio, which may clarify the legal standards for challenging DEI programs and employment. Already this weekend, because you did say something earlier about the layoffs, right?
Right.
Yeah. So earlier this week with the DEI, you've seen a lot of layoffs happen, and a lot of companies are getting rid of DEI programs.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I.e., Verizon, and also AT&T.
Okay.
Right.
I got you mobile.
Yeah, so they're getting rid of these programs. What they're doing is they're getting rid of these programs because they're looking for, the grant, the grants that will allow them to make more money, big transactions that they're trying to do in the future. Them grants will allow them to do it. So getting rid of these DEI programs, play a big effect for them, right? I brought this up because it's very interesting because a lot of our people feel like the DEI program is particularly pointing at us, right? I just want to let you guys know this. The DEI started in the 1960s, and it was ID for, and it started based off of the civil rights movement, right? Because we wanted to have the same rights, of course, as others when working at the same job, right?
It's the DEI for those who may not know, it's diversity, equity, inclusion.
Exactly. Thank you so much, brother. So, it started in the 1960s, and that's where it started, and of course it progressed, right? Let's just fast forward to the 2010s, right? And to now, to present, right? Now it's been more. So yeah, bro. So basically, these DEI programs were implemented, right? They wanted to have that space. First of all, these corporations are not slick. They wanted to get the money for DEI programs, having the DEI implemented into their corporations, right? And of course, that benefited some of the people that weren't being looked at before. And it hurt some of the people that were actually qualified for certain positions that they should be getting, right? That's what it is, and it's based off of how. And now it's looking like it's going to a time period where it's going to be based off how good you are, right? And I just wanted to say that to y'all because it's like it's not towards us. There's a lot these DEI programs. It's past the point of being about black people. It's past the point of being about us. They're using these programs not for us, for other things and other people. So if they're getting rid of these things, we just need to be ready for the future and be ready for the things that are meant for us. Because right now, I'm telling you, black people, we are good at what we do. We work 2 times harder. And the things that we get is based off of us working 2 times harder and being that much better. So these DEI programs never benefited us in the way we think as of right now, from the time period that I stated. What's benefiting us right now is because we're that much better and we're that much good. So if they get rid of something, the only thing that's going to happen is we're going to get better. So this is my thought process on it, bro. How do you feel about that?
Okay. It's kind of. Should I mention Pharrell before I get into it?
I think that it would be a perfect point for you to bring up that clip to go off of that. I think that is actually.
It's a long clip.
Or to state what you were saying, bro.
Right. Yeah. It's a long clip, but Pharrell was saying that he hates politics, that he hates both sides, and he did go on to say that he doesn't really believe in DEI, and do you want to be hired because you're black, or do you want to be hired because you're good at what you do? You know me, I'm not an either-or guy. For me, the answer is both. Here's the thing about DEI, right? You brought up the 60s, right? I don't know if we understand that America was designed to, use black people as fodder, right? So why DEI was created is because we didn't have access to things that were actually of quality. If there was a colored water fountain and there was a white water fountain, the colored water fountain was using sewer water. If there were school buses for white kids to go to school and there were school buses for black kids to go to school, the school bus for the black kids had no tires. DEI was essentially a way to try to hold these predominantly white institutions responsible into letting us lead into diversity, allow us to participate in equity and inclusion.
Yep.
We're not asking for a handout. We're asking to be fair. The NFL has something called a Rooney Rule. A very small percentage of NFL, especially back then, a very small percentage of NFL teams have black head coaches. How is that possible? With a league that's, even back then, that was majority black, with no black head coaches, is because they didn't want black men in positions of leadership. They thought that was reserved for white people. So the Rooney Rule was, and it's still not perfect because it's just give them an interview. At least interview them.
Yeah.
At least interview them. Black people's problems have never been that we weren't good enough.
Yeah.
It's that we weren't allowed in.
Right.
And oftentimes, and there's studies and statistics that show that if there's a qualified black person and a qualified white person, especially if it's a white man, the white man is going to get hired, not the black person.
Right.
That's what DEI exists. Now, I'm not saying it's a perfect thing, but often perfect is the enemy of good.
Okay.
And it shouldn't be that we got to literally jump over buildings and mountains to get a job that, you know, a lot of Nepo babies, especially white kids that families come from money or their dad was a government for however many years or whatever the case may be, can literally just walk through the door and get it because of their lineage. Like, we don't even have access to the same levels of education because of the way that the school system designs how these schools get funded based on the property value. There's kids who, you know, and this is what's kind of like, this kind of funny, like the thinking, right? There are kids in Harvard, there are kids at Brown, UPenn, probably got average grades in high school. Their parents probably donated $100,000 to be named, like a hallway to be named after them. Their kids walk right through that door. Oh, you're such and such? Your father what? Black people, when there's a program designed to help us get into the door, be acting like we don't want to take the door. And I think that's a form of just like us not valuing ourselves to a degree.
Where did you see it? Isn't Bronny in the NBA?
But Bronny's different. That's an extreme situation.
You can't say Bronny's different. He's not. It's what we're talking about. Black people have created the doors and opened the doors for our kids. Now, what you see rappers, basketball players creating situations where DI doesn't play an effect into our success at this point.
But I don't think DI is designed for rappers and athletes, to be honest. I think DI.
But that's the point. DI, we wanted equal, like you said. We got equal. And now now DEI doesn't play an effect in a lot of black people's success at this point. That's what I'm saying. Of course, it doesn't play an effect in rappers because it doesn't play an effect based off our success now.
I would probably say no, and it's like it's still not equal. I mean, it's better. The gap's closed.
Okay,
it's far from equal. I think there was we reported a number about. Remember when we were saying 300 black women were fired from their jobs?
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side that we didn't report, it was like over 300,000 white men were hired in jobs.
How many white women were fired due to DEI? That's the thing. You can't bring up certain statistics without bringing up all of them.
But here's my point.
Yeah.
So I'm showing you, right, is that there's a widening in a gap.
Okay.
Right? You talk about AI, how companies are firing people for AI. There's certain HR jobs that don't exist anymore because if this person can go through 100 emails in a hiring process, but I can get this AI program to do it, and they can go through 100,000, I'm gonna fire the human. Right? So we're talking about safeguards. You gotta understand, DEI exists as a way to hold a people responsible that otherwise would not be held responsible. And if you remove that, no matter how great you try to be, you're not gonna be out greater than your skin tone to these people. So if you remove DEI, let me just ask you, what's to stop them from going back to the same racist tendencies from before?
Bro, you know DEI is a choice for a company, right? You do not have to have a DEI program.
I don't think you have to have a DEI program, but I think what you do, I think there are minimum requirements, which is where like even the whole like quote unquote token phase comes from, where you have to have at least this amount of people, which is somewhat in the same vein.
But
for companies,
you do not have to have DEI in your corporation in order to in your business. It may face value, it may be good in order for the things you're trying to do and what you're trying to, but you do not have to have DEI in any business that you do. Anybody, you do not have to have DEI. You're telling you do not have to have DEI. It's a choice that the companies make. That's why companies are getting rid of DEI because they don't They want grants from other situations. That allows them to get grants in other situations. It's a choice that companies make based off of the things that they're looking to do as far as selling. But it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not something you have to have.
Well, to my understanding, it's not so much about the like having, but there's, like you said, there was grants. So if there's DEI grants, if you're a company, you meet a certain quota where you're showing that you're actually hiring. Same thing with football, right? Like if you're actually showing a tendency or a practice to hire a certain group of people, you could potentially get grants from that. So what we're saying is that the government's taking away that and saying you can get grants elsewhere for doing something else. I would just ask, all right, so what's the something else? Let's say for example, right? You remove DEI. You brought up Verizon. What was the other?
AT&T.
AT&T.
Mm-hmm.
Verizon, AT&T, right? They removed DEI. I believe Target did that as well. I believe Target did that as well, and they've been feeling it ever since from consumers boycotting them, right? So I said, I got T-Mobile, I don't got Verizon, I don't got AT&T. Now T-Mobile, if you do some bull, damn, I can't even switch to Metro.
They did. They was stealing people's accounts, boy.
Yeah, listen,
Everybody's getting scammed through T-Mobile.
Listen, man, I had my 2-step verification on. But check this out. So let's say, okay, they cut DEI. Cool. What if the grant for them to get the money now is to hire 33,000 more white males, 2,000 more white women, and you just cut, let's say, the last 1,500 black people? If you're, once again, understanding like that either or, right? How do we hold someone, or let's say a system, how do we hold a system accountable that never wanted black people to participate?
I mean, okay, that's a great question, bro. They never wanted us to participate. I agree. They never wanted, they wanted us to participate, but not at the level we wanted to participate.
They wanted us to be entertainment in the participation.
Yeah, I agree. But I also do want to acknowledge the accomplishments black people have made to this point, right? That's my point of just going to the point of feeling like, because I need to just say it instead of saying basically saying, oh, black people is not about. The things that people that have been profiting off of DEI the most is immigrants, okay?
Perhaps, I don't have the numbers, but perhaps, but even so, you know what I mean? Great.
Because because what you have is, and I'm not saying that it's a bad or good thing, I'm just going over what we're living in, the reality of what the situation is, right? Okay. DEI was first used for this, okay, and now it's being used for this. You know what I mean? So I don't really I don't even disagree with your point. Like, I actually agree with your points. I just feel like at this point, you have immigrants a lot. You have some immigrants that have work socials that come in with a credit that people have to work to get to. You get what I'm saying? And then you also have they get certain business grants, right? Certain different things of that nature, whatever the case is. And then you have some people who come in that work at jobs where DEI would be most in effect when I'm talking about it, that have work visas. You get what I'm saying? And special programs that they can take advantage of that makes the company look good in that effect. Right. Right? Mm-hmm. So those things, let's say I go work at a job, right? Okay. And I'm going to just say we have Helen, and Helen's from, we don't know, but it's a foreign country, and she's here on a work visa. Okay. Right? And she takes advantage of the school program. So right. If you can take advantage of the school program and go to school, and you can also take advantage of these programs. That's Helen. And Helen's going to be like, yeah, I went to this program through the company. I've been working with the company for this year. They got me a house. When I first came here, I didn't have this. I didn't have that. Right. Right? Okay. I'm a college kid. I already finished college. So it wouldn't be an advantage for me to go ahead and take advantage of these things that the corporate people have, right? That's where black people start coming into a situation at a disadvantage, where they felt like DEI was for them, right? Or situations of that aspect, and they're like, "Oh, we want equal opportunity. We got equal opportunity. We going to college. We getting it. We getting the things we want." But you know what's happened? It's working against us in certain aspects, and that's what I mean. I'm not saying DEI should be replaced. I'm not saying that it's a good thing or bad thing. I'm just speaking about the things that we're dealing with. Right. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it, and like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and act like DI was a perfect thing. You know what I'm saying? Because me personally, nothing's ever gonna be perfect. There's gonna be loopholes. There's gonna be even when you do something with the intention of it being good for somebody, there could be unknown negative side effects. So maybe there were some unknown negative side effects with DI. But my thing is with the Supreme Court removing it, it wasn't so much that like they're removing it to replace it with a better idea, a more efficient idea. They're getting rid of it to spite people. They're not like, if there was a follow-up with this administration in the Supreme Court, that it's like, okay, well, we removed DEI, we replace it with, I don't know, inclusionary 2025, whatever you want to name it. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna solve this, that, and third, and it's gonna lead to more money being funneled into lower income communities where their education, their schools are gonna be better, and we, whatever the plan was. But we need to say, we're gonna ask that, and we're gonna actually incentivize companies to ask that. Oh, great. Companies like a Target, a Verizon, AT&T. Oh, we don't gotta hire people. We can fire people. I mean, every company's biggest expense is the payroll.
But it's not about the people when they make these transactions, when they give it a DI.
But that's my problem. Is that the government doesn't think about people.
But that's what we've been living in. It's not.
No,
so, for instance, for me to think that what they're doing is different from before, it's not. These DI, they got rid of DEI, bro. And matter of fact, go what you're saying. I'm sorry. Go ahead with what you're saying. Because
that's my point. Is that they're still not thinking about the people, because especially when it's Black people, they're not thinking about us in any capacity, or like what the reverb is going to be from these firings. And like I said, this came at a time where people were fighting to be recognized as equal civilians in a country that was built off of their labor, that they weren't even considered to be humans. Three-fourths of man. You get what I'm saying? Like that. Like, we got to understand the route in which it was made in. Not to say that it was perfect or it played out perfect or there weren't maybe a flaw or two here or there. Whenever you talk about what's the replacement? What is the better option? And I just don't want. I don't want the 1% to be like the bar that we set for like everybody. I love what LeBron did with Bronny. That's great. You're seeing a lot of rappers, kids start podcasts or be creatives, or be actors and move. That's great. What about the kids whose dad just work at a warehouse, whose mom might be, a nurse, or who, a kid whose mom might work 2 jobs, or his dad might not be there? What is the help for them? What is the thing that they can rely on to say, like, you know what, I can use this grant as an advantage. I have this government aid as an advantage. Because at the end of the day, the government is supposed to exist to serve and protect its people. Unfortunately, that people comes with a color barrier. So what I'm saying is, how do we hold that system accountable? And that be my only thing. I'm not
okay. We want to hold them accountable, right? Because I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. They're only doing this. These companies are doing this is because they're trying to make more money. Can we agree? Like, they're trying to make more money, right? The reason why, specifically, I was talking about Verizon and AT&T, but if I'm wrong, please fact check me. But they're trying to acquire. Do a large transaction, and getting rid of DEI allows them to go ahead and within the transaction that they're trying to do. So it's way past Black people at this point. They're always going to mend right over Black people or mend over the people, right? Right? They're going to mend over the people, and they're going to get rid of jobs. They're going to get rid of jobs, and they don't care because they're trying to make more money, right? And that's the thing. They're going to fire these people to hire more people. Now, I get what you're saying. That's where it's going to come. They're going to hire the people they want.
Right.
They got rid of DEI. Now they can hire all the white people that that they're saying.
Right.
Cool. That's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, the transaction that's being made was not to get rid of black people. The transaction is being made to make more money.
I think it's both.
So you think
Two
they care
birds-
about
two birds, one stone.
You think they care about doing something to black people as much as they care about making money?
1,000%. Let me ask
I
you
disagree.
this. What you read there was the Supreme Court that passed it, right?
Yeah.
Who's running the Supreme Court? It's really that regime that that president that was a Klansman, who has said some of the most racist and bigoted things, who got some Epstein files that we're still waiting to see, who is a lot, so all these people are in bed together. You know what I'm saying? Two birds, one stone. Great. Get to screw over black people and make more money? Great. Let me ask you a question, though. Make more money. They're doing it to make more money. Who's spending it, though?
So you're this
Hold on, wait.
is not a personal transaction.
But think about
a
this.
money transaction.
No, but it's a money transaction. But let me ask you, where's the money coming from? When they report fourth quarter numbers come January,
Mm-hmm.
what if every black person just said, man, fuck AT&T, fuck Verizon,
Okay.
cancel their plans, and it's funneled over to T-Mobile, or I don't
It
know.
wouldn't matter. That's not where we spend a majority of our money as black people.
But it's still within business. It's still if you're saying, right, come fourth quarter in January, let's just say you're AT&T. Let's say 15% of AT&T customers are black people. If that 15 just exit stage left,
Mhm.
what do you think that conference call sound like? Come January.
Guess they would want to get more black people, right? Or get
No. That conference call gonna say, hey, they're gonna go over their subscriber numbers.
Okay.
They're gonna go over their sales, and they're gonna say, hey, for the forecast, we just lost 15% of our customer base. You want to see what a stock look like taking a shit? And that's my point. The power is always in the people. The power is always in us. It's whether or not we can get back to the 60s and move in unison. The boycott of buses, it damn near ruined them. Think about it. A minority group damn near ruined the bus system. Way before Uber, way before taxis. If we were to move in unison, for all these companies that feel like they want to get rid of DEI,
Mm-hmm.
if we were to lock in and say, we're going to take our little 15% over here, we're going to take our 10% over here, we're going to take our 7 or 8%, whatever the percent is,
Mm-hmm.
and we say, nah, we're good. Do you think that company, if it's about making money, still sees that same money?
The companies are going to do that regardless because they believe that the people will not do that. And you tell me a situation where, you could say black people have actually made the stride and stuck together and took an actual percentage and actually did something with it.
Target this year. Target's a good example of a company that took a hit when black people boycotted Target. And
How long they did it for?
That was a few months. I can't remember the exact date because that was pretty early in the year.
So the full percentage of black people who shop at Target stop shopping at Target.
I'm not gonna say like
That's-
I'm not gonna say.
so it didn't-
I haven't shopped at Target all year.
So
I would say
it has not stopped Target enough from still being able to have money and still be the company thriving.
Well, I'm not saying they're gonna go bankrupt, right? But what I'm saying is that, like, we're making an argument that they're going to be. We're making an argument. Hold on. We're making an argument that they were going to.
That they were going to care about
money.
black people. Like,
Well,
it doesn't matter about
I'll
black
say
people,
this.
it's about
I'll
money.
say this. Target, early 2025, before the year really started, was hovering around $130
Mm-hmm.
stock value, down to 91 and change. So my only point is, right, is that these companies all make money based off the consumer. Not like you said, whether or not they believe we can do that in unison. I mean, that remains to be proven, right? But I'm just giving an example as of recent of what it looked like, where even a fraction, let's say half of the people, let's say 5% did it. 5% sent a message. I watched that earnings call.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't look too happy. It ain't look like I'm not saying, yeah, Target's gonna go out of business, AT&T's gonna go out of business, but
It's gonna market a different way, bro, to attract the people the demographic that is not looking at them. That's all they have to do.
Maybe
sign people that you guys like, sign people that you guys love, have people to talk that don't have no common sense on what the fuck is actually going on, and we're gonna believe in that. We're gonna believe in that, and then we're gonna buy into that product again.
Maybe, hey, listen, if y'all got Verizon out there, if y'all got AT&T out there, you know, hey, Steph's gonna put the challenge. Y'all go to all right, I don't want to say what other. There's not a lot of services, but there's some
Get
cell phone
your own
services.
phone company.
Hey, you know what? Nah, forget that. You know what we doing? Hey, check this out. We going to Walmart and we getting prepaid phones, nigga. We gonna get prepaid iPhones. All right. You want to make a point? We want to make a point. Let's go prepaid iPhones. If not, T-Mobile got Metro. You still got the Metros. Hey, did you have one of them Nokias back in the day? You know, the little small one, the snake?
No.
That if you broke, that you can... Man, dang. Those phones was durable.
I didn't have that. I didn't have that. Hey, bro, listen. These companies, these large transactions that's happening, of course, we're going to get, ran over ran over, no homo, as far as anything that's going on. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? I think that at this point, I think black people have done a great job at finding the businesses that they know that they can make money in, and being proactive at helping the youth understand certain different avenues as far as them being able to make money, and finding different ways not to rely on corporations that can take out and put back in systems when they feel like it, and just change people's life at any means. So I don't know. It's very interesting, bro. I do hope the best for people who are dealing with DEI and are at the end, the end of it. And I really hope it's not racially motivated. And that's why at the end of the day I will speak those for things, is because I hope I pray that it's not racially. I pray that it's not racially motivated, because that's very stupid. It would be very dumb at the end of the day, as But I've seen dumber things.
Listen, man. I'll say this: the power is always in the people. It's always in how you choose to lend your likeness, how you choose to spend your dollars, how you choose to support your neighbor, your brother, your sister, and the like. And learn how to really, I like calling things what it is. I'll say that, and don't be afraid to sacrifice. I think every generation has a challenge. I love this bridge talk between the 60s and what's happening now. To see the sacrifices that people died over, got quite literally, not just, they tell you they got attacked with dogs and hoes, they were bombed over, hung over. For me to see them try to erase something that they fought for, because in their minds at the time was for the betterment of future generations, is kind of just like a slap in the face. But I never underestimate the motivations of corporate America and what this capitalist society and its insidious nature really is. So speaking of insidious natures, man, let me tell you, some light has been shining on a star that was bright for a long time in hip hop. If you don't know, talking about the Diddler. Oh man, I'm only 2 episodes into this doc. There's 2 more.
Yeah.
But my gosh, bruh. I mean, you've seen the whole thing. I don't know if you want to give a spoiler alert, or do you want to just you have other thoughts about?
No, I mean, I seen a Diddy documentary produced by 50 Cent.
Shout out 50.
It was very interesting. I think that 50 Cent did do a good job at displaying just, purely what he has as far as what he can provide as for what they deem as facts. You're right. Having the people that were in the situations, having the actual court documents, if there are court documents, and having the references to everything behind the documentary and not just going out there just stating stuff, having actual videos that Diddy actually did and actually put out there and had his self. So doing your due diligence in your work to actually produce something that's coming from the eye of the person you're trying to get us to understand, but then to turn it a little way where we see him in a light we've never seen him before, right? And I look at Diddy. I used to be, oh, okay, bad boy, what I mean? I didn't know too much about whatever he had going on. You get what I'm saying? I only seen him from the outside and could care less.
Right, of course, all of us, right?
I used to think Kanye was crazy. And then I looked at this documentary and I was like, oh, there's a level above him. You get what I'm saying?
It's like the difference between like it and like Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, exactly. You get what I'm saying? So, and I seen it and it was like, because I'm gonna tell you people right now, I do not judge nobody based off of anything they do, no matter how horrible or even how good it is. I don't judge because, each day you can take away what you did from before. So it's always based off of you living within your truth now and continues to do that each day, right? So I don't judge anybody, right? So it became, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, dang, like, if the manipulation that he did, from each situation that he's in, because for instance, I'm just looking at patterns to even figure out like where is this going as far as the documentary itself. Like, what pattern am I seeing?
Right.
Which pattern is it a fact within the pattern? And I came to the conclusion, bro. I'm like, okay, Diddy is not gonna let you know who he is.
No.
You get what I'm saying?
No.
And I'm gonna just leave it at that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we don't know the end result of it, but because remember I told you I like movies,
right?
Or I like shows,
right,
and things of that nature,
filming,
and
right.
I look at it from a different perspective, and it's very, very interesting. And I just want to see what happens next after the whole thing happens. So,
like I said, I'm only 2 episodes in. I'm not gonna spoil too much of the context of the actual like documentary itself, but to your point about Diddy being crazy, there's a scary pattern, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you see like these documentaries about a person like Diddy, not even entertainment, like just people who turn out to be abusers or power hungry or this monsters hiding in like sheep clothing, it's like you can trace it back to their childhood. You can see how he was kind of groomed to want the spotlight and the attention. It's almost like he needed it. But back to my point about living in vanity, when you live in vanity, those things are never like actual like satisfiable. There's never gonna be like a thirst for the attention that gets quenched. Like you're gonna get to the point where like, I have enough attention. Even in Biggie's death, he had to make it about him. I mean, my God. And then paraded publicly about how this is my best friend. In my mind, I'm like, bro, my guy Jiggy right here, man, this is not my brother, man. I love Jiggy like a brother. In my mind, I'm like, bro, God forbid something happened to Jiggy. I would not do what Diddy did.
Yeah,
bro, what? He fronted like he was going to pay for the funeral.
I mean, bro, I wouldn't do that to you either.
No, I know that. I wouldn't
do that to you either,
Trust
bro.
me.
If I was in a situation, something happened to you, bro, I would never think to use your stuff to pay for your own funeral. That's crazy,
bro. I mean, he turned his friend's funeral into basically almost like a tax write-off. I was like, and then the habit of chasing other men's women, whether it be their current girlfriend or a side piece. You're talking about what he did with Albie Shore. And you're young. You're a little younger than me. I'm born in '91. Like I didn't know a lot of like I've heard of these things. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, like through the grapevine, or you might have heard certain hip hop vlogs. I kind of have these conspiracy theories and stuff like that.
I
But
don't want
like,
to hear about nobody complaining about their girl getting taken. I don't want to hear none of that. You like these parts of it. Like I know Diddy did some shit, whatever the case is. But if Diddy took your girl,
she chose. She chose.
She chose, bro.
She chose.
I don't want to hear none of that
But
simping
but
stuff
I ain't gonna lie though.
about none of y'all people out there talking. Listen, he should never abuse those situations. But if you're on a documentary, talk about. He took my.
But there was some dirty Mac, and he was playing unfair. There was some unfair games.
Bro, we act like women are not individuals that have a level of understanding themselves. If they choose, they chose.
Yeah.
And they chose for a reason. What do you want me to? What do you want to be like? Oh, he took their what? No. That woman made a decision. That's what happened, and she chose. And maybe it may not have been the greatest decision, but nobody took nothing from you. That woman made that decision. Now you sitting up. Don't. I don't want to hear nobody talk about no girl Diddy took from them. Nobody.
I didn't know Kim Porter used to be I'll Be Sure's girl. No.
I don't want to Listen.
What?
No matter what he did, they said, you know what? I'm gonna have a baby with him.
Damn.
And so I don't want to hear about now everything else about it. Yeah, okay. But if he took your girl, or if she decided to be with him and you happen to say you was with her, don't be mad at him. That's all I'm saying. That's all I gotta say. I don't want to hear nothing in no documentary. Yeah, and he took my girl.
You got a point. But But my big point is like absolute power corrupts absolutely. Diddy, like to your Kanye point, like how we look at Kanye, man, Kanye crazy, right? Like Kanye is crazy from what we know so far, is for the most part harmless, like physically. It may be problematic, it may be harmful in the way of like, especially when he says like, when he was on like the All Lives Matter stuff and he was saying the thing about slavery, those things are like more harmful from a mental standpoint. But like Diddy was actively using his power to hurt people. He's at the center of Pac's death. He's at the center of Biggie's death. I didn't get into part 3 and 4, but the scene where they're going, like, I'm sure they're going to get into the Kim Porter situation. I'm sure, he was behind. Like, he even the death aside, like, he's on record of being abusive towards women from, like, day one.
They didn't go into the Kim. They didn't go that far into Kim Porter though.
Oh, they didn't go that far.
They left it out. They kind of kept it more on the monster.
Okay. It's everybody go watch this on Netflix, and we're not gonna spoil too much. Maybe after a week or so, where we feel like everyone's kind of watched it, because I feel like people are still. This came out like at 3:00. What, like Tuesday morning?
Yo, Dame said he wasn't gonna do it, bro. Dame said, what happened? He said, what happened to the Diddy documentary? See, mean, it's not happening, right? Yo,
Fifth was on Good Morning America grinning. Dame. That's why your teeth be falling out, bro.
Oh, no, you can't say that. Don't say that about Dame.
Dame.
Nah, don't say that
50,
about Dame.
No, Dame, listen, Dame. If 50 say he gonna do it, I'm gonna put my money at 50 gonna do it. Yeah. 50 said a long time ago he has less empathy than that average human being. He said being shot 9 times changing forever made him worse. 50 don't care.
Yeah.
If you make an enemy out of 50, you got an enemy for life. Good luck. Diddy should have never asked that man to go shopping. He asked 50 to go shopping. 50 on Good Morning America, like, I thought he'd say he can play with me like that. 50 you from New York. What's Southside Jamaica, Queens? I know you're from the Bronx, but like, do you know like a lot of Queens niggas? Like, I heard Queens niggas is like, not the ones you want to play with that.
Not Southside Jamaica. I lived in Far Rockaway, so I lived in Far Rockaway, Queens. But that's not. I never lived in South Jamaica or been in South Jamaica. But I lived in Far Rockaway. But I'll tell you this, bro. You have 50 Cent, which is a very intelligent dude, right? Mm-hmm. He looks at the situation, because if you hear in the interview, the Good Morning America interview, he said, I never known Diddy to be tough. I never knew Diddy to be a tough guy or any of these things, right? Mm-hmm. And I looked at it and I was like, I get you, 50. 50 Cent is looking at this situation like, I'm not gonna go. I don't like Diddy. I'm not playing a tough guy role with him. This is not a tough one. I'm a tough guy. I'm gonna play tough with him. No, this is a psychological game. This is a manipulation game.
Right.
And 50 Cent, this is what I'm concluding from. It looks like, boy, you don't even know how far mentally I can go with this manipulation game. As much as I see you manipulate people, I'm gonna manipulate this situation and manipulate you. And that's what I feel like I got from this whole situation, which is like, damn, you can't even look at 50 Cent to being bad because it's like, damn, if he, because he's not trying to kill him, he's not trying to fight him, he's not suing Diddy, but he's manipulating Diddy's perception. You know what I'm saying,
bro? At this point, he's
because
altered.
Diddy manipulated his own perception to make us believe something that's not true.
Bro,
that's crazy.
Hey, listen, that's a good topic. You're talking about manipulating perception. I want to talk about the power of media in a future episode.
Yeah,
I think that'll be a great topic. We talk about the power of media.
Yeah.
We've been recording for a while. I'm gonna say this one last thing before we wrap it up. 50 Cent might be Bruce Wayne.
He's Batman.
He's Batman. 50 Cent, this is the most Batman shit I've ever seen. He took down the Joker.
Yeah.
Remember when Diddy was he took down the Joker. 50 is Bruce Wayne. He is the anti-hero we all needed. Some of y'all might hate 50 out there. What do you think? Hey, you ain't doing the knowledge. You can see how War Pac's face at audience. Hey, my favorite artist ever. I got a little closure. I understand it now.
We got to talk about jealousy next time too. Being
Jealousy.
around people that are jealous, because if that's. I feel like that documentary also brought up things that we gonna have to get into, because I think there's a lot of this going on. People being around people that are so jealous of them and manipulating that person's situation just because of the jealousy. Exactly. And we want to talk about 5 points, and I hope you people listen, because we have some. It may be very relatable to your situation. So for sure,
100%. Listen. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. This was a fun episode. This was I feel like this was like one of our like deep talk episodes. You know what I'm saying? This is one of our. I love episodes like this. Like I love episodes like we come in here, we laugh, we talk. We ain't cry on camera yet. I ain't get to them subjects yet.
Yeah.
But once again, thank you guys again. Over 100 subscribers. We can clap it up. We can clap it up for y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you. We are gonna continue to try to improve. We're gonna continue to try to grow. I've said it a few times before. We're trying to be the most diverse podcast you can find on YouTube. And every time you guys view a video, you leave a like. I mean, it's not lost on us. We notice and we're appreciative of it. And, we reached 100 subscribers. We wanna set another goal. It doesn't have to be sometime recent. It may not even be this episode. But if you guys can get us to our first 100 likes on any episode, get us to 100 likes on any episode, Jiggy's going to give you the big back theory.
Yes, I'm trying to tell you.
And I'm going to come in here with the quarter zip and matcha. And I'll record with the quarter zip and matcha.
We got to get to this.
We need, if y'all want to see me the quarter zip and matcha.
We'll come in here like that.
All right? And y'all want the big back theory from Jiggy, y'all know what to do. Run up them likes. We ain't playing. Like, we'll do it. We're men of our words. Yeah. Why would we lie to them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With that being said, y'all, this is Everything's Everything, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
All right.
Peace.